What are they doing on our side? Are you guys nuts? Right?
I have to interject. When all of a sudden Kamala Harris is doing the Liz Cheney thing, I said, does she want to lose? I mean,
what's amazing is I said the same thing. Look, Dick Cheney polls at 13%. What lunatic thought it was a good idea to wrap yourself around Dick Cheney? I mean, when we started the Young Turks 22 years ago, longest running show in internet history, first ever YouTube partner with original YouTubers, one of the driving forces was get Dick Cheney out of office, right? And now for Kamala Harris to come full circle and say, oh, I've got 90 corporate CEOs backing me, and I've got all these executives.
Don't be fooled by this snake. This is all. So this is true, but it's masked in a cover of a lie. It is true that he wanted to form one of the mission statements to get rid of Dick Cheney in the early Young Turks era. But his mission statement also was things like getting Hillary Clinton elected, to run any sort of propaganda interference on behalf of Barack Obama that they could. These people were not even based from the perspective that Cenk is talking about right now of, oh, we need to run all these establishment Democrats out. These are the who gave you the establishment Democrats to begin with. Their judgment is flawed. It's always been flawed. Now they need to have their own social revolution because their policies have failed and people have rejected them. So now they're just going to go further left. These people are stupid. They are dumb people. Think they only let Trump win to avoid a revolt? Maybe. Who can say? Who can say?
Was on my side, and I've got Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney on my side. It was so counterproductive. It's not what the left wing stands for. It's not what the Democratic Party should be about. So the problem is the establishment. They are controlled by the donor class, and mainstream media is their market.
What are my thoughts on Charlie Kirk? All right. Well, you can go full screen. I'll tell you some of my thoughts. So on the TPUSA front, I think they do more good ultimately than harm to the Conservative Party, mostly because they've been able to develop a significant infrastructure in which to push out some kind of conservative idealism, and they've moved slightly more towards the right. I think that these are all positive signs politically. What I think of Charlie Kirk personally, I don't know. I don't know the guy, right? I've never met him. He's always treated the Whatever podcast well, from my understanding. And he's more of an events coordinator than he is a debater or a person who really has good political moxie. He's more of like an organizational chief, an organizational head than he is a political figurehead. And I think he likes to keep it that way. Do I agree with all of his takes? No. Do I agree with the amount of women that represent the TPUSA who are clearly feminist in disguise? No. That's a big problem. And I wish that they would do something about that. I think that that is a serious issue. Another thing, which is something I wanted to point out, Steven Crowder used to have and I think he still does, the college campus thing where he had the Change My Mind. And to be perfectly frank with you, Kirk and TPUSA kind of stole that. They stole that right out from under Crowder. He was the guy who pioneered that. Next thing you know, Charlie Kirk's on the college campuses doing the exact same thing. My understanding is initially they were even going to call it Change My Mind. They were just going to completely rip it off from Crowder, but there was a speaking arrangement, which Crowder was going to be there the very next day. And so they had to change the name from Change My Mind. Ultimately, I don't think what I haven't seen from that organization, I haven't seen anything really new. I haven't seen anything particularly innovative, right? They're not full of entertainers. They're full of political pundits, and the political pundits are kind of like second rate. They're second rate political pundits. They're not great. And they don't have anybody who they can field in the debate field who can take on the leftists like Destiny, these other ones. They just don't have that. They don't have TPUSA inside of its infrastructure does not have those people. It just doesn't. Daily Wire does. Ben Shapiro can take those types of people on pretty effectively. Maybe he's the only one, but they really don't have the infrastructure to fight these people that way. They only have the infrastructure to kind of do reverse propaganda, college campuses, things like this. But that is a major battleground, so you can't take that away from them. You can't take that away from them. That is a major battleground. They are fighting in that major battleground, but they're not doing well with the online battleground. They really aren't. At least not when it comes to taking the ideas directly to the progressives' audiences themselves. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Well, you can say Crowder's a joke all you want, but he's got way better arguments than these guys do. Mr. Enigmatic, back to this, please.
Marketing arm. They do not do news. They do propaganda. And one more thing. What I want you guys to recognize is that mainstream media you think is against you. You think they're against the right wing. But they also hate Bernie Sanders. And they also hate me. And they also hate the populists on the left. What mainstream media really loves is the establishment and the elites. They're against all of us combined. And if we dare unite on issues we agree on, they will be livid, and it'll be a beautiful day in America.
Which is exactly why you shouldn't do it. It won't be a beautiful day in America. No progressive is telling you to do something which is going to be good for the right. None of them.
And that is correct. I mean, you were kicked off of some of the cable news channels for having heterodox opinions on certain issues. So let's kind of look at the last.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't kicked off of news networks for having heterodox opinions. He was kicked off of news networks for saying the left is being stupid right now. We need to go further left, and that'll be the message that the young people will eat up. And he was right. That was a threat to establishment news networks. They don't like that. They want the more centrist view. That brings in the viewers. At least it used to, back when cable TV was a thing. It really isn't anymore.
Last couple of years, we can go back to the Bernie Sanders thing. Explain to us, why is it that right-wing revolution was successful, and the Bernie Sanders with 2 attempts actually won the primary in 2016, and he had it stolen. Again, stolen election talk can be a little controversial. They stole it from Bernie Sanders in 2016. Why was that revolution not successful?
Yeah, I think it was because Donald Trump was a celebrity and they didn't take him seriously. So they made the mistake of giving him mainstream media coverage. And so they thought, and if you remember, Bill Clinton had this brilliant idea, we'll encourage Donald Trump to run on the Republican side and it'll destroy the Republican Party. How'd that work out for you, Bill? And so I remember saying at the time, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because what I sensed was you need a non-politician to lead the revolt. So, because all the politicians, and right now they're having a conversation on the Democratic side about 2028, and the only people they mention are politicians. And my answer to that is hell no. Okay? Because the politicians are used to the corruption. They grew up in the corruption. They like the corruption. They got their power through the corruption. So I don't want that. I don't need that. And so when Trump came on, they gave him coverage. And here's when look, some people think that things changed after the election. No, I've been saying this from day one. Correct. And so back in 2016, actually 2015, after I think it was the second debate, when Trump was on stage and he said, I gave all these guys money and they did exactly what I wanted. At that point, everyone on earth, certainly in establishment and mainstream media, says he has no chance of winning, none. I went on the Young Turks and I said, he's going to win the Republican primary. Okay? Because people hate corruption and they know it in their bones. Okay? Now, we will disagree on, is Trump really not corrupt? Is Trump really going to do the things that he promised? Is
picking his words carefully here.
Is he really a populist? I would love to prove me wrong. I would love that, okay? And my God, if Trump got money out of politics, one thing we're known for is credit where credit is due, okay? I would give him all the credit in the world. We're not there yet. We're not close to there yet. So when we get
no, he wouldn't.
Into the issues, hey, how about, and remember, guys, you also have donors. Beware of the donors. Don't forget that, and don't let your guard down, okay? But so on the Democratic side, we have got to elect a populist. If we don't, we're going to make the same mistake we made when they anointed Hillary Clinton, when they anointed Joe Biden, and when they anointed Kamala Harris.
He's right. So he's expressing to you the sum of all fears. A progressive populist who is actually relatable in a way that Bernie Sanders was not, because he was, ancient. The guy was, he was as old as the sun. I mean, this guy was old in political speak, but old also physically. He just was not relatable. So if the left did run a populist, an anti-corruption populist, he's right. There is actually a good chance that the centrists in the nation would move towards that left-wing populist, to the damnation of those who wanted to bear their Second Amendment rights, those who wanted to extinguish abortion. Many people would look past those issues in order to extinguish corruption. He is correct about that. The audience should not be cheering, though. The audience should be saying that we're going to resist a populist candidate that comes out of the left by any means necessary. And yet, so often we're celebrating people like Tulsi Gabbard. She's a Democrat. You don't celebrate Democrats. What are you doing? The f are you doing?